Appalachia, a region full of lore and legend. Many different mysterious sightings of monsters, creatures of the supernatural, rumors of something that seems to be impossible, sometimes from another world. Appalachia is full of culture. Appalachia is full of olden traditions that people use every single day, passed down from generations. But amongst these skills passed down from generation to generation are legends, monsters, lore. Today I'd like to take you on a bit of a journey through a presentation that I made documenting 10 different urban legends and mysterious happenings that occur within Appalachia. I hope by the end of it you'll be more educated both on these legends and take away something new that you might be able to use yourself later on, and maybe pass down to somebody else. Let's go. Hello there. My name is Ryan Bittner, and today I'm going to be presenting my Sociology 350 collection project, also known as Urban Legends in Appalachia. I hope by the end of this presentation you guys will have knowledge of 10 distinct urban legends present within Appalachia, and, in accordance with the legends as well, become better educated about how they are integrated into the culture of this region. So, let us begin. Urban legends, backbone of Appalachian culture. Everyone, Appalachia is known as a region known for its unique culture and heritage of traditional skills and historical preservation. This preservation is also made up of the stories and parts of Appalachia that are remembered and passed down for generations. These unique legends and whatnot that I'm going to be showing you have been preserved and have helped areas of Appalachia become preserved through tourist attractions and notable locations, specifically becoming more popular thanks to these tourist attractions. One of the prime examples that I'm going to be showing you here is actually the next legend within the first one that we go through here. These areas have the advantage of not only staying relevant in the region, but it passes down age-old stories from locals in the minds of those visiting for the first time. These legends and myths in Appalachia have been created in their own unique culture of preservation in this region, and there are plenty of them to discuss. Basically, because these legends exist, because that the tourist trade exists, because that they've been passed down through generations, areas of Appalachia, and by extent towns, cities, areas, whatever you want to pick from the region, they have become preserved because new people from all over have come over and I want to know about these legends because of these tourist areas. So, within that case, this is part of the reason how it helps preserve Appalachia. So, without any further ado, let us get into the first legend here. The first legend that we're going to be looking at today here is the Mothman of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Presenting Appalachian Legend 1, the Mothman. Mothman is known as a winged creature from the aforementioned Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Made his debut appearance spotted November 15th, 1966 by a couple on State Route 62. Fun fact about this little story as well, the couple actually ran from Mothman, or quote-unquote the Mothman, in an event that they traveled down the back road where they were stationed at, and apparently it kept up with them at around 100 miles per hour, what the car was traveling at. Of course, by the time they got back to the town, the creature was gone. Their account and the accounts of many people reported afterwards, the creature is a large winged beast with red glowing eyes, capable of high speeds with the aforementioned 100 miles per hour, and large glowing red eyes. Despite many search parties and incident reports filed after the couple initially spotted Mothman, Mothman was never distinctively seen. Mothman was spotted mostly around a power plant and whatnot in the area of Point Pleasant, but unfortunately, Mothman was never officially captured. Now, Mothman became a very controversial icon in Point Pleasant, to say the least, especially due to associations with the 1967 Silver Bridge collapse, a very popular bridge around Point Pleasant that claimed the lives of many people and automobiles in the process. Even though Mothman was spotted in the area, a lot of people didn't want to jump to conclusions per se and accuse Mothman of causing the bridge collapse outright. But of course, to this day, there are many people that are like, he's a menace because he's the one behind this incident. Now, Mothman is the example I mentioned earlier about how he was the main icon that attracts tourists to Point Pleasant. Point Pleasant, instead of rejecting the idea of Mothman, whether he's real or not doesn't matter, because Point Pleasant especially remembers it with a local festival they have every year, with celebrations. They have people that dress up in costumes, they have Mothman merchandise, they celebrate and integrate Mothman as part of their culture, and whether or not people like him or not, the fact of the matter is Mothman is one of these legends that helps Point Pleasant and part of Appalachia stay alive, thanks to just the very existence of this creature. Appalachian legend number 2, the Brown Mountain Lights. Now let us proceed with legend number 2. So, the Brown Mountain Lights, located in Burke County, North Carolina, a very unique phenomenon Kind of simple in concept, mysterious lights that rise over the mountainside present in Burke County before mysteriously disappearing into thin air. These lights have been documented since the days of the Cherokee Indian tribe, theories alleging that lights are the souls of the lost tribe seeking their families after a major battle between the Cherokee and a rival tribe. There have also been alleged rumors about a slave searching for his master after being lost in the wilderness, and that is the light, which is from his lantern, so another interesting legend there as well. Now, these lights aren't per se like a unique creature or like interesting tale or anything, but it's a unique phenomenon people have attempted to explain. Car headlights, natural swamp gas rising out of the ground. Many people have been thinking they have a logical reason behind it that they can explain scientifically. Unfortunately, one notable incident in 1916, a flood completely decimated a local town that people suspected, it was like a forest fire, an electrical grid, but it blocked off all these avenues by taking out every possible route and explanation they could have come up with as to why these lights exist. So, even though the light source has never been determined, people, again, just like Mothman, it has become a local legend. People come from all over to get a glimpse of these mysterious, legendary lights. And the best time being, fun fact as well, October and November. So if you're ever planning a trip out to Burke County in North Carolina, that would be the best time of year for you to go and see these lights for yourself. Appalachian legend number 3, the Moon-Eyed People. Moving on now to the next legend. So the Moon-Eyed People, an interesting piece of research that I came across when I was researching unique legends within Appalachia, was a unique group of people that prior to the existence of Christopher Columbus, when he came to America, quote-unquote, in 1492, prior to the 1100s, around the time of the Cherokee Indians, who reside in what is now modern-day America, there may have been another mysterious tribe known as the Moon-Eyed People. Going back to ancient Indian legends and artifacts, the Moon-Eyed People were allegedly a race of people living in what is now Murphy, North Carolina. They were described as having pale skin, bearded faces, and large blue eyes that were so sensitive that they not only had to live underground, but they only came out during the moonlight. Now, legends differ on the fate of the tribe. The tribe were not known as a violent tribe or anything like the Indians, but according to the Indian legends, there are many different fates that could have happened as they just mysteriously disappeared one day. Whether it be them migrating due to changing circumstances in the area, going to what is now Tennessee and West Virginia, and there also may have been a possible skirmish with another tribe known as the Creek Indians, who slaughtered many of them by ambushing them and then driving them out that way. Regardless, they have been described as having been there since the tribes were formed, being there since the days of the Indians. And the race of mysterious beings remain unexplained to this day. We don't know where they come from, we don't know what they were all about other than what's been described, and of course what happened to them if they did exist and when they moved out of the area. So, very mysterious indeed, and would certainly change the way we look at certain earlier parts of American history, because if these people existed, what else existed in America? Appalachian legend number 4, the Goat Man. Moving on to legend number 4, we have the Goat Man. The Goat Man is alleged to be a half-man, half-goat creature that has been rumored to exist in Prince George's County for the past several decades, specifically since the 1970s. Now, the Goat Man is what you'd expect a half-man, half-goat creature. First noted as being on October 27, 1971 in Bowie, Maryland, a local writer mentioned the creature in her reports of unknown creatures in the area, alleging that this creature existed, amongst the other mysterious beings thought to have existed. And, around the same time that this report came out, 2 weeks after this article specifically, following the report of a missing family dog was found in the woods, dead and decapitated. Following the report, though, again, just like Mothman, many people reported seeing this creature walk around on hind legs, making strange noises in the woods, chasing locals, and, causing all sorts of havoc, such as killing pets as well, which would follow up with that report. The creature has again never been confirmed to exist. No one has ever got any solid evidence on its existence, and even though there are many who remain skeptical to this day due to a lack of evidence, there are those who still think Goat Man still exists to this day. Urban legend number 5, the Digness Tunnel. Moving on to our next legend, in the Digness Tunnel. The Digness Tunnel was a unique location of legend that I came across while I was researching legends. This one I had never really known about. So, this originates in Mingo County, West Virginia, home to a haunted tunnel with a very bloody history known as the Digness Tunnel, initially constructed in 1892. Now, the initial point of the railroad was to transport immigrant workers coming into the United States at that time, around the time of Prohibition during the early 1900s, late 1800s, when people were migrating from different countries. Of course, during this time frame, as is apparent throughout history, locals despised the idea of immigrants coming to the country. So in order to mitigate the tunnel, transporting these people. They instead resorted to violent acts such as shooting people that left the tunnel, picking them off as they left, or raiding trains in a lot of cases under the guise of robbers, kidnapping the people, taking them to unknown locations, and then killing them instead. So, in addition to this mass migration killing, the tunnel experienced also 2 train crashes in 1898 and 1905, leading to 7 deaths in the first crash, and dozens more deaths, I'm sure, in 1905, leading to a very bloodied history, unfortunately. The tunnel, again, has been downsized over the years. The tunnel is now not really operational when it came to trains. Over the past several decades, the tunnel has been more so downgraded to just single roadway for people to travel to and from places. But there are, of course, reports of paranormal activity in the cave due to its violent history. Strange noises, appearances of people, presumably victims in the tunnel, and a lot more activity has been alleged in the tunnel. A lot of ghost hunters end up going to this tunnel to pick up readings due to the mysterious happenings, and it's no surprise considering everything that has happened in this place. Next legend, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Alright, so, moving on to our next legend, which this one's actually going to be the most apparent out of all of them. This is one legend that I'm sure none of you are going to be surprised about, at least legend of location, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. A very popular ghost hunting spot that some of you may have actually visited, and I know people personally that have. So, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, it was intentionally, at one point, a very furnished and immaculate place designed to house approximately 250 patients to give proper mental medical care. But unfortunately, these circumstances did not last long, considering the very nice facility. But during 1881 especially, there was an increase in mental patient diagnosis, where people experienced a lot more mental problems, and more new diagnoses were being discovered. The number during that year shot up to 500 patients, doubled the initial capacity. More and more people entered there during the early 1900s, and as a result, because they couldn't keep up with the patients, the building fell into disarray. So not only could they not keep up with the patients, they couldn't keep up with the rooms. The people there working there severely declined in quality. I'm talking the entire place was falling apart, wallpaper falling apart in the rooms, patients having to sleep on the floor, people being put in just barren, cold concrete rooms. It was miserable conditions. Well, due to these terrible conditions and experiments that were also carried out, such as lobotomies, there was approximately several hundred lobotomies carried out here. The desecration of patients, unfortunately, the facility was closed down officially in 1994. Now, due to all these circumstances, including a graveyard being present on the grounds, the location has been the subject of paranormal activity due to the patients who died there. Patients crying, loud noises, apparitions, and more are present in the asylum alongside legendary stories of notable patients. There are some specific patient stories in certain rooms that are alleged to have been just worse off than a lot of other people there, hence leading it to be a popular tourist spot to this day. The facility is a popular tourist destination that conducts tours through the haunted halls of the asylum. Again, this legend here isn't new to any of you, I'm sure, but keep in mind, there is a bit of history as to why the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum ended up being such a hot spot for this kind of activity in the first place. The next legend we have here is a bit of an interesting one, tying into a bit of law history as well, specifically talking toward the Greenbrier Ghost, a very intriguing case I found. So moving on to our next legend here with the Greenbrier Ghost, this is a very unique case that ties into a bit of history, and the first time a ghost was actually, or ghost statements, were used in a legal case. So the legend starts around a woman named Zona Heeler Shue, or Zona Hester Shue rather, a woman in 1897 who was found dead at the bottom of a staircase in her own home. Now, initially, foul play was suspected through a variety of circumstances, and her husband, known as Trout Shue, was suspected of carrying out the deed. But unfortunately, at the time, there was no evidence, there were no sounds of foul play, and there were many theories surrounding she fell down the stairs, or various other accidents. So, without any charges being filed, Zona was buried, with a funeral, of course, but there were no charges filed. Zona's mother, however, came forward a short time later with a twist. Her daughter came to her one night in spirit and revealed to her that her husband Trout did indeed murder her. Her mother was so convinced that her spirit visited her that she ordered the body exhumed, and when it was, after more thorough autopsy, it was revealed that she was indeed murdered via strangulation. Now, this evidence was circumstantial, but due to these circumstances, Trout was convicted based on these findings and sentenced to prison for life, leading this to be the first recorded case in history where a ghost contributed evidence to a court case. Now, many do have their doubts on the story about, her spirit visiting her mother and convincing her that you need to check this out again because I was indeed killed. However, I don't find it a coincidence very much, and many people do, that her mother believes she was murdered 100% due to this incident, and she was found to have been killed. So the question remains, was it purely circumstantial? Did her mother just have doubts about the case and order it done? Or did her spirit actually visit her? Very interesting legend indeed. Here up next in legend number 8, it's another tunnel, specifically the Sensabaugh Tunnel. Similar to the Digness Tunnel, the Sensabaugh Tunnel is a very notorious haunted location, and also a tunnel with a very bloodied history similar to the previously mentioned tunnel. This one is located in Kingsport, Tennessee. A tunnel known as the Sensabaugh Tunnel has garnered a reputation for being a reputed haunted location stemming from a lot of odd noises, again, apparitions, screams, and other activity. Rumors circulate in the 1950s and 60s various different events that caused this tunnel to have such paranormal activity, including one reputed case of a hobo kidnapping a child and drowning it in a puddle in the tunnel itself. Now, was this confirmed to be true? I don't believe so from the research that I had done. However, this was a rumored event. Now, another major story, and where the name Sensabaugh came from, was a man who lived in a white house right outside the tunnel entrance or exit known as Ed Sensabaugh, who was alleged to have killed his family and then killed himself inside of the tunnel. Now, again, whether or not this is true, historical records may show. One thing's for sure, though, this tunnel does seem to have a very rumored, bloodied history to it as well. One thing is known for sure, though, whether or not any of these events are true, is that the tunnel is known for very odd activity. For a lot of people that go and experience the tunnel for itself, do have odd happenings occur to them. And despite its rundown look, it's still known as a very haunted location in the area. Very unique location for this Appalachian legend number 9, known as the Netherland Inn Road, known specifically for one notorious case, and it's a very intriguing one at that. Circling back to the next legend with Netherland Inn Road, this is also located in Kingsport, Tennessee, and it's home to a stretch of road known as the Netherland Inn Road. Quite a history of fog on this road. It's notorious for being higher up in elevation for having a wide variety of accidents, unfortunately. But the most notorious story that makes it a haunted location of legend is that of Hugh Hamblin. In 1922, Hamblin, he was a man who was visiting his son, who, ironically enough, also had an accident previously on the road. So that's why he was visiting him in the hospital. His son was the only survivor out of 7 kids who were killed in the accident going back the road. So Hamblin himself was walking back to his Model T Ford when a driver went speeding down the fog-covered road shortly after he was visiting his son within the hospital. Hamblin attempted to flag the driver down, but unfortunately the driver did not see him in time and ended up hitting him, killing him in the process. Now, to this day, the most notorious incident people go, it's estimated around 100 people go down this road because it's not a frequently traveled drive. People see a man in a fedora, trench coat, and a Model T, similar to what Hamblin was wearing when he died. But when people have approached this man alongside the road, he disappears. Now, people speculate this is Hamblin's spirit to this day. Not only does it match the appearance, but it's the same car that he was driving on the time he was killed. Allegedly, flagging down people to help or ask for help for himself in the fog, or warn people of the fog so they avoid the same accident that happened to him. Again, whether or not you believe this to be true, certainly a fascinating story, and certainly one that does line up with the circumstances that led to his death. And our last legend here with Appalachian legend number 10, we have the Lincoln Ghost Train. Now, for this last legend here, also tied into the history of America, we have the Lincoln Ghost Train, based off of the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. Now, Abraham Lincoln's assassination was one of the most tragic events in American history. April of 1865, President was killed in Ford's Theater by John Wilkes Booth. Everyone knows this story. The interesting intrigue, though, is the events that have occurred after his death, specifically associated with the very funeral train that carried his casket to its final resting place. Along the trail where Lincoln was killed, allegedly, going down to where he's buried today, people frequently see the train go by. Ironically enough, it's always in late April of every year people report seeing the train go by, steam coming along the engine, and if you have a clock or a watch nearby, the time stops. People allege that once the train reaches its destination, you can see the casket being carried off by what appears to be blue skeletons, or I presume funeral marchers, carrying the very casket of Lincoln to his final resting place before the train and everything else just fades away. People report this train going by every single year, once again in late April, carrying President Lincoln on his final ride to this very day, making it a very consistent legend, and a very unique one at that, historically speaking. and for your viewing pleasure as well. Here are the sources if you guys wish to check out some of this information for yourself. It was a lot of research, but I think that there are a lot of really good legends here. So, you guys can check some of this out for yourselves, and you guys can see here if there's any information you wish to learn more about these legends. Thank you again, guys, for watching this. I hope you guys learned it. This was a lot of fun to do. And, yep, that's it. Have a good one. There you have it. The Legend of Appalachia. Appalachia is full of these mysteries, and it was one of the main inspirations that I had to want to do this project. Both to show you my presentation and the research that I poured into this. I wanted you all to see how unique Appalachia can be. It goes beyond the skills. It goes beyond the knowledge. It goes beyond the legend. It goes beyond what you take away. Because without that, Appalachia dies. And I don't want to see that go to waste. Whether they be legends of the supernatural or more, just note, they will always be there, waiting to be discovered. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you all took away something from this, and learned more about the region in which we all live. Thank you.